we're going to talk about a little bit of controversy. In the latest episode of Action Express Racing and Wayne Taylor Racing with Andretti Global, battling for the championship, chaos ensued. Heading up the hill into turn one, Filipe Albuquerque forces number 10 Konica Minolta to Acura around the outside of Pipo Derani's number 31 Whelen Engineering Cadillac. Derani ran Albuquerque wide, who went off into the grass and head on into the tire barriers in a huge impact. Albuquerque got out of the car and was assisted away from the scene after we heard the sound of him in pain over the radio. Then he was transported and later released from a local hospital. This essentially handed the inaugural GTP title to Action Express. Pipo Derani and Alexander Sims, a sixth-place finish, was good enough to get the job done. After reviewing the incident, IMSA decided not to take any action against Derani for running Albuquerque off the track. So, Alex, in your opinion, was Derani's move fair or unfair because the championship was on the line? And do you think IMSA should have penalized him?
Yeah, this move was very over-aggressive by Pipo Derani. I honestly thought for sure that IMSA was going to do a penalty of some sort here, but they didn't. And I feel like they did that because they didn't want to interfere with the championship. That's just speculation on my part. I don't know for sure. It it was just so aggressive, and then for Albuquerque to go straight head on into that wall, just all around bad situation. Hope Philippe's feeling better today and everything, but just I did not like that move at all. Honestly, I get it. You're going for a championship, but you can't just basically wreck a guy to do that. And that move basically gave them the championship on top of IMSA not doing a penalty of any kind. I, I don't know. Like, I really thought that IMSA was going to do it, so I don't know what else to say about it. Just because IMSA, I feel like that's the thing they would normally call. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but just very bizarre situation for me because the 31, they definitely deserved a penalty for that, in my opinion. And for them to not do that and then still win the championship, and on top of that, in the post race interviews, Durrani not really acknowledge what happened there, just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I was also very surprised that IMSA didn't penalize Durrani. I thought it was certainly an avoidable contact penalty. I like looking at all the avoidable contact penalties that have been called in the past. That one was definitely
Yeah.
an avoidable situation. I guess if you're playing devil's advocate, you could have said that Filipe Albuquerque didn't have to make that move around the outside then and there. That he could have waited till they got down that long back stretch going down the hill, or when they're in lap traffic, try to take advantage of the situation when Durrani was trying to lap the GT car. So I guess you could say he should have waited, but he's a racing driver. You go for a gap if you see it. He thought he could make it around the outside, but unfortunately, Pippo didn't really leave him any room. Yeah, I was reading the Sports Car 365 article earlier today and interviewed Pippo Derani, and he actually said that the Albuquerque move was very desperate in his opinion instead of the other way around. So I thought that was very interesting. So as you see, Pippo doesn't have any problem with what he did there. IMSA decided not to call the penalty, and Action Express picks up another IMSA prototype championship here. So ask the question, was the move fair or unfair? I think in this situation right here, you still had a lot of time left on the clock. I felt like it was an unfair move by Pippo, but at the end of the day, he has to live with the decision that he made here. If it was like for the final turn, like we saw a few years ago between, ironically, these same two cars, the 10 and the 31, I would have been more understanding if it was like last lap, final corner. But in this situation like this with a lot of minutes still, well, not a lot of minutes, but still enough time left on the clock to make a move elsewhere. I felt like this situation could have turned out a lot differently.